What's up, chat? What's up, Harry? TFS. What's up, Y? Arctic, Sahib, Jez, Sticky Wiki, Ozza, Champagne, Kenny, Liam, Ziad, what's going on, Paso? What's up, Habib? What's up, Chunk? What's up, Sif, Yusuf, Thomas? What's going on, Lux, BK, Sid? What a mercy, another week, another weird comment. This guy must think I'm TJR or some shit. What's up, ET? What's up, Brett? Last one before you go solo, my boy. What's up, Mark? Mahad, Stowy, AT, Kyle. Alright, first up, chat, because we have a new channel, obviously. Congratulations to the 8 people that got funded this week. So, MX, Andy, Arella, JD, Vague, Will. Gotta give Will his role. I keep forgetting to get the roles, chat, my bad. Biggie. Yeah, I gave the role. And Ibby. I forgot to give the role as well. I've honestly probably forgotten to give half the final roles to people. I'm not gonna lie. Andy needs one. Alright, there we go. All good. So congratulations to 8 people that got funded. What's up, Finn, Tori? Yeah, we got a pretty big session today, Jez. Thoughts on Bivol? I didn't watch it, but apparently Bivol got robbed. I was watching the UFC. Someone's got to do it. What's up, Anthony? What's up, Sid? You ready for it? Sismon, George. Nayaka, what's going on? Chronix. How did we go this week, chat, before we get straight into it? How did you guys go? What's up, Fist? Gonna start my futures fund this week. Have you been forward testing, Chunk? If you've been studying for 4 months, what's the first fund you should go for? Let's say you have a couple. It depends what you're comfortable with, honestly. If you can't afford it, then you can't afford it. 14 and 17 of the week between AU, EU, and Nasdaq. Nice. That's huge. And apologies for sounding a bit, I'm just a bit congested at the moment, chat. 4 is to reward on 1 setup the whole week. Nice. Kenny. Decent week for me. 15 risk to reward, and move to forward testing, made another 10 risk to reward. Nice. Broke even, only 2 trades a day. Gonna pass phase 1 this week. You mean next week? Lucky. I've been good, bro. How are you? What's up, Alpha? Gonna get it funded this week, hopefully. Nice. I'm personally gonna hopefully get my futures funded done, but I'll try save it for the next month because I want to average one for every month. I'm doing heaps of forward tests on futures. Nice. What time do you trade futures? I think I made a video on this on my Instagram for free. I trade pretty much from the start of I'm observant from the start of London to a couple hours into New York, basically. Mainly on Asia. Nice. Gonna start collecting data this week. Nice, ET. Pass phase 1 with 25k. Nice, fist. Hang on, chat. Give me a second. Alright, chat. I'm back. Deleted Instagram, gotta lock in. Fair enough, bro. Fair enough. Thank you, Maha. 8 risks to reward week in total. Alright, so it seems like everybody had a pretty decent week. Today we're going to be going through psychology, so it's going to be more of a masterclass when I'm talking to you guys. And obviously I asked you guys this morning what you guys wanted to talk about, so I'm basically just going off that. I've picked a couple of points, so I'm just going to run through it. If you find it helpful, feel free to write it down, grab a notebook or a Notion and just write down what resonates with you. I probably will send this afterwards, but it's good to write it down in your own words, at least the points, so you can comprehend it a little bit better, even if it's just a little descriptive text of what I've been saying per line, then it helps. It was tough. It was $15 from losing the funded. I got to win at the end of the week. I feel like I want to lose it and start fresh with a new one because it messes up with my psychology. I understand that. I feel like that sometimes as well. Got out drawdown this week. Nice, boy. Nice. Alright, chat. We'll get started in a sec. Let me just grab a water. Chat. Alright. Alrighty. All good. Alright, so first thing I wanted to talk about was psychology of trading. So outside of trading, basically, mental health, maintaining good work-life balance, healthy lifestyle, all the things that contribute to better performance on the charts. This was from Bread, so he sent that one in. Now, most of this is just going to be me speaking from experience, so it's not going to be coming from anywhere else but my own experience. What's up, Samuel? So hopefully it can help you guys. Now, I want to talk about staying on the charts less in regards to this psychology part right here. Let me see if I can make this a different color. Yeah, cool. So this is what we're talking about first. And this ties into this, okay? So I've actually been enjoying futures a lot better lately because of the timing, because essentially it's roughly the same time every day in terms of the setups. A couple hours into London, heading into New York, and a couple hours of New York. That's it. Now that doesn't mean that I have to take a setup in that time, but I've liked it a lot lately because it's like a set time. I can just look at the charts. If there's no setup, there's no setup. If there's a setup, then I'm happy to take it. But I have a peace of mind with futures because sometimes with AU, if I'm not looking at it during the day and I'm not forward testing it, I feel like I'm missing out on something. With futures, I haven't been feeling like that because I know during the day in Asia it really doesn't give that much volume. So as of lately, the psychological impact and happiness of finishing Forex earlier in the month, so that's my personal account, right? That's just having a conservative profit target and not aiming for anything too crazy. Because let's say that you have a 5% profit target, and you hit that in the start of the month, that's fine, because even if you were trading with no profit target and you just, like, let's just say you're an average trader, you're a normal trader, right? Which is what most of us are. We're just normal traders. If we're profitable, then we're doing pretty good. But if we just have a 5% profit target and we finish it earlier in the month, that's a successful month. Because I know so many traders that are break-even traders. They'll go up early in the month they'll be up maybe even 10%, but they'll keep going and trading throughout the month, and then when they get to the end of the month, they'll be around break even, or they'll be in a little bit of drawdown. So this is very common with the break even traders, and this was very common with me as well back in the day. I would go up fairly early in the month a few years ago as well, and instead of sitting comfortably on that month and just enjoying the rest of my month, I continued to trade, and that stems from greed. It's greed, that's all it is, because you want to make more. I wanted to make more. You think that 5% isn't enough, you're like, on a 100k account, it's only 5,000. You see somebody online making 10,000, 20,000 in a single trade, you're like, okay, I want to catch up to them. But what you don't realize is, for example, if they're making $10,000 in a trade and they're using a $200,000 account, they're doing half the work you're doing, and they're making more because of their capital. That's the thing when I first got out of my job. Yes, I was making $10,000 a month. First 3 months before I left my job, my first 3 payouts were 13,000, 18,000, and 11,000, and the workload wasn't that much because it was all on a $200,000 account. They're all just 5% gains. That's all it is. 5% gains on $200,000 accounts, and that's $10,000 a month. Wasn't doing anything crazy on the funded account. But then what a lot of you guys want to do, you'll see somebody like that making $10,000 and you're not satisfied with the 5% because that 5% only made you $200 or $100. But you're doing the same thing as those people that are making $10,000. It's just the capital, that's the only thing that's different. So it's very important for your happiness and all that stuff to have less time on the charts, because if you keep building the good habits at 5% a month, even if you don't have the capital, when you eventually get to 200,000 or 100,000, it's going to be very easy for you because you've built that discipline from the ground up. On your smaller account, your $1,000 account, where you've been going 5% a month and you've been building that up slowly, and let's say it's at a couple thousand now and you get a $200,000 funded account, all you have to do is hook that account that's at a couple $1,000s as a trade copier, add the $200,000 account onto it, and keep doing what you're doing. Get the 5%, and once you get that 5% on that that couple $1,000 account, you've copy traded that 200k account to $10,000. Like it doesn't have to be that complicated. If you're building good habits on your smaller account, when that funded account eventually does come, it's going to give you that confidence to be like, all right, I've got it on the trade copier. All I really need is 5%. I just have to keep doing what I'm doing. I've gotten 5% on this personal account for the last 4 months. Now I've got this funded account. That $10,000 a month should come pretty easily at that point. Why don't you get like 4 hours of sleep? It depends what time you get up. The futures is looking unreal, to be honest. It will definitely help people trading and sitting on charts all day. Yeah, 100%. If you have issues with sitting on the charts all day, to also tie into this, what I'm saying over here, maybe look at futures, because it will help, because there's not much action, if not anything, during the day, and all the action comes in New York and London, towards the back end of London and the start of New York, first couple hours. So what also ties into increasing your performance is as I just said, trading less, right? Last time I traded every day, or well, most days of the month this year was in January, right? You guys remember that? Went into 15% drawdown. Now, I traded most of last year, pretty much most days of every month last year. And even though my results were pretty much better from last year, they were a lot more volatile. And I also had my first red month early in the year. I only had one red month last year, but it was early in the year. Now, having that red month, it does impact your psychology. Because instead of, having a nice stable green month where you can build on it, now I've had a month where I've lost and I have to make back what I made this month, and I also have to consider what I'm doing next month. So when you're actually full-time, the better method is to do what I've been doing this year, as in trading less, because you want to practice on having that stability. Because if you were doing what I was doing last year and you're trading every single day of the month, then the results are going to most likely, most of the time, either be really good or really bad, because you're staying in a risk-on environment. You're staying in a risk-on environment, and luckily I was able to recover from that red month and I was able to finish off the rest of the year pretty good. But the thing is, if you have that red month, you don't know how you're going to react after that. You don't know after 3 green months and then you have that red month, you might go on a skid for the next 2 months or 3 months because your psychology's messed up. So a much better method to actually just go about everything is just be stable, have a conservative profit target, and don't trade every day for your personal account, for your growth. Because even with your funded, if you're trading every day on the funded and you're giving up your 5% profit, and then you end up blowing the account after you've secured 5% profit, the only person you really have to blame is yourself. And I've done that before. I've been up a decent amount of it was actually my first funded, actually. My very first time I got funded on that $100,000 account. I was up, I think, $3,000 or $4,000 USD. I kept trading because I wanted to make more. And I didn't stick to a set profit target that was conservative, which I would have been at the time. 3-4%, I would have been happy with it now. But because I kept trading on that account, it came back to my break even. So I was back at 100,000, and I was thinking to myself, I want to get back to where I was. I want to get back to 104,000, then I'll stop. That didn't happen. Go down to 95. I'm like, alright, I need to get back to 100,000 at least, so I can be at break even. And then that didn't happen, and you come back down to 90, and you eventually end up blowing the account. And it all stems from greed and not having a profit target that's conservative and realistic for you to achieve. So to wrap up this section here, performance outside of the chart. 2 main things that we can take away from here: having a conservative profit target, as well as trading less and not being on the charts all the time. You'll find yourself a lot more happier if you do that, because you're not glued to the charts all day. And if you feel like you're having that FOMO, then all you need to do is focus on futures for a little bit, because it will teach you at least that during the day there's not going to be any setup, so you can do whatever you want during the day and then come on at night and then you can trade it if there is the setup. So if you're having FOMO, that's the best method you can do for that. So the next one that one of you guys brought up, the fear of losing a trade while your account is in profit. So, there's no easy way to tell you guys this, and I correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen any trader talk about losing a trade or like going into drawdown while you're in profit. I have not seen anyone touch on it. Now, speaking from experience, this is going to happen no matter what. This will happen to every single trader if they keep trading throughout the month. The longer you stay in a risk-on environment and you keep trading that account while in profit, then you're exposed to the reality of you going on a losing streak while you're in profit. And there's no reason to be afraid of that because it happens. It's not gonna, you shouldn't look at it in a way where it diminishes your skills, because it happens. The first time I got a good taste of this, again speaking from experience, because most of this masterclass is just psychology and me speaking from my own experience with the questions that you guys asked. I wish I could pull up this particular dashboard because it was such a good learning curve. I really wish I could. Obviously my Forex funds doesn't exist anymore. But on my first account, where most of you guys know I got my first payout of $10,000, that account was up at $30,000 in the first 2 weeks at one point. Now, I could have stopped there, right? But again, most of our problems stem from either fear or greed. And because I was greedy at the time, I wanted to keep going. But the thing is with this, profitability looks very different at different stages in your journey and at different stages of the account. Sometimes it's going to look like this, where the equity curve looks rather smooth, right? Sometimes you're going to go on a nice winning streak and it's going to look it's going to have a nice jump like that. And maybe you might have a big losing streak at some point and then it'll pick up later on, right? So for me, it basically looked like this. Early on, I had that big winning streak. I secured $10,000 for a payout fairly early on. The account pushed up all the way to 30,000 USD as well, might I add, which is a lot of money for your first payout. And then immediately after that, went on a losing streak. Psychology just went down the drain because I'm like, what's going on? Am I not profitable? What's going on here? But the thing is with this, losing while you're in profit is perfectly normal. Granted, I lost about $20,000 and that was over a couple of days. Because obviously if I lost it in one day, then the account would get violated. So the losing streak went on for a couple of days. My job is to show you guys that when this sort of thing happens, it's completely normal, and I learned it the hard way. So even though to other people that were watching me and saw me secure $10,000 profit at this point, which was my first 10K month, I was happy about it, of course, but I was a bit upset because I had the account at 30,000 and I went on a losing streak and it closed out at 10. Now, you only get this when you're on the charts pretty much trading most of the days, right? But even then, if you do reduce your trades throughout the month, something like this is still normal. It's never a straight line for profitability. It's always going to be ups and downs. Going through drawdown on a challenge account on a phase 1, going through drawdown on a phase 2 account, that doesn't just magically go away on a live funded account. It still stays there. You're still going to eventually deal with drawdown, whether your account is below 100,000 or whether your account is above 100,000. There's going to be drawdown somewhere there. It's never going to look like a straight line. If you guys have a look at my funded X account, which is on the leaderboards, I lost my first 2 trades and went into drawdown. And then I won my next 2. It's always going to look different. But the drawdown's always going to be there, whether you're in profit, whether you're in loss. So there shouldn't be fear if you're in profit and you're losing a trade, because your system's just doing its thing. Back then I wasn't aware of my system and I didn't know it 100%, and I wasn't smart enough to know that this was part of the process, but it is, and that's what I'm trying to tell you guys. But one of the things I do a lot differently with a funded and a personal compared to a challenge is I'm usually extra conservative. On one of my trades on the funded X account, there was price was struggling to get to take profit. I think it was up like 6 risk to reward or something like that, and take profit was 7. Price was struggling to get there. Instead of second guessing and waiting for price to hit that 7 risk to reward, or for price to potentially reverse and come out and take you out, because I was targeting weak structure, so I was targeting well within my plan. I was still targeting a high probability area, right? But it's not going to be a guarantee that that weak low gets run, right? Let's say that I took the trade from here. It was a short. That's all I remember at the moment. And the weak lows are all the way over here. Now let's say price gets somewhere like this, right? It's not at the weak low, but it's nearly there. And then we get something like this, where price is just starting to consolidate, comes back down, consolidate, and it's consolidating, right? So it's struggling at this point. My psychology for a challenge compared to a personal and a funded is very different. Usually for a funded, usually I like to adjust and react, right? Usually I like to adjust and react. If we're failing to break this low and we get a low time frame order flow shift, then I'm happy to take profit here and, look for a potential long towards this week high, whatever it may be. But the thing is, with a funded and a personal, because it's real funds, at least on the personal account, and there's still money on the line on the funded account, even though it's a demo, there's still real life implications there. I don't want to mess around and leave it up to chance. If we're up 6 risk to reward from this high and we're targeting the week low, keeping in mind that I'm still following my plan, but we're struggling to break the week low over here, on a challenge, I'd probably just let it go. Because the challenge phases are usually longer. This trade's only going to make you like what? 1%, 1.1%? You're still going to be taking a lot more trades on this challenge account to get it to that profit target. Whereas if it's a funded or a personal account, you have to be a little bit more delicate with what you're doing here, because if you hold it and it comes back and takes you out of break even, you're damaging your psychology by letting it do that, because you've most likely looked at your MetaTrader 4 or your trade locker and you see that, at this point I'm up 5,000, and when price comes all the way up, now I'm up 4,000, 3,000, 2,000, and now it took me out of break even. That could put you on a cold streak, could lose your next trade and be even more pissed off. So you could be up a floating 6 risk to reward for the day, And because you've let that come back, now you're down -2 risk to reward for the day because you've let it come back to break even. It slipped you out a little bit, and you've taken a loss on the next trade. With the fundeds and the personals, I don't take many chances. I take what's there. Because realistically, if I'm targeting 6 risk to reward and I'm risking 1% on my personal account here, and this closing out here could be 6% instead of 7%, I'm closing this out. Because with the personal or the funded, closing this out means that you could secure a payout, or it means you can secure a personal withdrawal on your live account. The implications are much more on a personal account or a funded account compared to a challenge. On the challenge, I'm happy to let it run because I'm still going to be doing work on this challenge. I still need to do more trades on it to get to where it needs to be, to pass this phase 1, to pass this phase 2. But with the funded and the personal account, getting it to over here, it doesn't make sense to leave it up to chance, because there's $5,000 sitting right in front of you here. And you're still following your plan, you're still targeting the week low, but it's just consolidating here. You're just hoping for it to magically consolidate and just drop down and take it out for that extra $500 or whatever it is. When in reality, you're leaving all this hard work you've done, finding the setup, structure break, protected high, coming up into a supply zone over here. You've done all this hard work to prepare, and you're going to give it back to the market, and your psychology is going to be damaged because you left it up to chance and you've let price come back into break even. Okay. Now another question from one of you guys that was asked. When you're in a trade and it's going well and you see another entry, well, you're scared to take it in case the market reverses on you. So the reality is, when you come into that situation, if you're following my criteria, you should be fine. So what it would look like would be something like this, for example. Price is moving down. This is where your first entry comes in, off that protected high. Let's say you're targeting a 15-minute demand, which is at a week low or whatever it may be. And you're looking for a scaling opportunity here, or something along the lines of this. Now, realistically, there shouldn't be any fear with this. And I also want you guys to look back on these type of setups, because every time you should be taking them, this initial trade over here should be at break even. So if you are taking another setup that's following order flow, for example, scaling at this point over here, this first one should be at break even. So realistically, it should be just like you're entering your first trade for the day. That's all it is. Because if price does come back all the way up and that doesn't end up holding and that gets taken out, that's just going to be a break even, and it's just going to be a loss. What you're doing over here is looking to double your profit for the risk you have set over here. You just have one setup over here that you've taken. You've moved it to break even as soon as it's broken structure. Price to come back for a pullback, and now there's a possible entry here. There shouldn't be any fear with this, because this should be risk-free. You've risked 0.3% here, you moved it to break even, and now you're looking to risk 0.3% over here. The only reason I can understand why you might be scared is if you're not following your plan and you're not sure about this setup over here. If you're planning your setups accordingly and you're moving to break even and you're making sure your risk management is tight above everything else, there shouldn't be any fear on the scaling. And if you get it wrong, so what? That's fine. It's just -1 for the day. It's not the end of the world. Another thing I wanted to touch on today is when your trade is in profit, as in something like this. Let me get rid of this. So when your trade is in profit, as in like this, and you're saying that you're holding a trade. Let's say this is your trade here. So this is your trade here, you enter over here. And you're saying that price eventually comes back and takes you out at break even. Now if this keeps happening to you, it's probably a simple reason for why it is. And I see it happen a lot of times in the chart. But a lot of you are getting taken out because you're holding trades deep into that tier 3 zone, into that tier 3 pricing that I've taught you guys. If you're staying conservative and you're targeting this weak low and you're adjusting accordingly, you know, whether price breaks the low or it comes here and it consolidates and then pushes up. So as soon as that low time frame order flow shift happens, you can secure your profit here. Have a look at your last 20 setups that you've gotten taken out of because you've had a big profit target or whatever it may be. Have a look at the last 20 setups where you've been taken out. Something like this. If anyone can do this, you know, if anyone actually, you know, cares about actually getting better as a trader, and if you're struggling with this as well, in particular, where you're holding trades and you're getting price come back and taking you out of break even and so forth, have a look at your last 20 setups, please, and have a look at how many went past the week low, where you could have targeted it. And if price came into that week low, count that as a win. Tell me how much risk to reward you would have gotten out of those 20 trades that got break even. So for example, 20 trades you've had break even, 20 of the last trades you've had that have gotten break even in your data collection. Have a look at each one of them. See how many that you could have targeted the week low, and then tell me how much risk to reward you could have gotten out of that for however many trades that it was applicable for. Because the reason why price is coming back and taking you out of break even, it's not because you marked the setup wrong. It's not because of that. You had a beautiful setup here, structure break, comes in to protect the structure, even sweeps the high, closes below. The problem is not the strategy. You could have taken any sort of ICT or, you know, retail setup, whatever it may be. You could have taken any form of setup here. You had the right move because it went in your favor. The problem is you're too greedy with the target and you're targeting some random shit over here to the left. Some liquidity or whatever it may be. And you're doing that because, I need this 8% to pass my challenge. If I target over here, I'll only be at 7%. I need to tell you here to get 8%. So you're doing it with your emotions. And then you don't get to that 8%, price comes back and takes you out of break even, now you're pissed off, and then you take a loss, and all of a sudden you've gone from potentially being 1% away from passing your challenge, and now you're back to 5%. This is the highest form of take profit target there is. There's nothing better than this. If you're adjusting and reacting accordingly, whether it breaks the low or whether it consolidates and pushes up and you get a low time frame order flow shift and you get out at that point, this is the highest form of probability. You want to increase your win rate? Fix your targets. Simple as that. Even if it's a 1 to 2, you're still securing bread. You're still good. Nothing wrong with a little win here and there. It's better than taking a loss. It's better than getting a break even and getting pissed off. I'll tell you that much. Alright. Talking about collecting data that doesn't meet your system requirements. Literally not allowing you to understand your system. So this is one of the questions that was sent in. Quality over quantity for data collection. Also talking about every time you take a trade that doesn't fit your criteria, setting you back before the start line is becoming profitable. Alright. So with this, I'm just going to touch on this briefly, but if you're not, we can get data, there's a lot of ways we can get it, and let me give you guys an example. I think it was this one over here. There's such a thing as misleading data. For example, over here, there's a breaker structure from this point, right? But we all know that this is not a breaker structure, right? Because it needs to be more than 50% of the body on multiple time frames. So this is not a failed breaker structure. Even though the failed breaker structure ended up playing out here, you're going to enter this to your data collection as a failed breaker structure. And the reason why it's going to do you more harm than good is because you're like, oh, okay, cool. Let's say this happens an extra 10 times than what it's supposed to when it's meant to be a regular continuation. You're going to be like, okay, cool. I'm going to keep taking fail breaker structures, and you're going to be influenced by that. You're going to be like, okay, look, these last 10 times, this fail breaker structures work pretty well. I'm going to focus on taking that now. And then when a genuine fail breaker structure occurs, you're going to be stuck taking it. And you're going to realize that, hang on, why is the win rate not as high as it was before? Because you weren't doing it right in the first place. So I know a lot of you guys want to collect data, you want to get going straight away, but you got to make sure your criteria and everything is set first. All your foundations, they have to be set, because something as small as this will give you an influence in your head. That a failed breaker structure, for example, there's many different things that could happen for misleading data, but this is an example that I just saw today. You think that a failed breaker structure has a higher win rate than what it's supposed to have, or a higher frequency rate, because you're seeing this as a failed breaker structure, but it's just a regular continuation because you drag this breaker structure all the way through. And you think that, okay, this is a failed breaker structure, I'm going to take this. This is a failed breaker structure, I'm going to take this. You think that a failed breaker structure has a frequency rate of 50%, it occurs 50% of the time with an order flow shift, but in reality it's only coming in at like 20%, and you're racking up all those extra losses for no reason. Think about your system and your data collection like planting a seed in soil. It has to be done right. Otherwise, it's not going to be able to grow properly. It needs to be planted in the right soil, needs to be watered on a regular schedule, needs sunlight, It's the exact same thing with your system here. You need to make sure your criteria is right. Okay, cool. I understand that this is what a breaker structure looks like in multiple different situations. Okay, this is not a fail breaker structure here because it doesn't meet my criteria. And it's just a regular continuation because we've dragged that structure break all across. And then your data will be a lot more cleaner because your foundations are better. It's not misleading. You do understand that a fail break structure occurs 20% of the time, it frequents 20% of the time. Because you've taken time to get your data right. And you're not just marking random shit out and not following a set criteria, which you should be. I made the structure break criteria mechanical for you guys. It has to be 50% of the body and break on multiple time frames. This is clearly not a structure break, but you can drag it across and it eventually breaks because you push down lower. So then when that happens, we get rid of this fail break structure. Hopefully that makes sense for you guys. Alright, last chunk of today. Bear with me. Let me just close the window chat before I get onto this last part. Hang on. Okay. Now this last part. Again, one of the things that I was asked from you guys for psychology, goal setting within trading, maybe outside of trading, what type of goals should we be setting? We did touch on this earlier before. Timeline pressure, funded goal setting, personal goal setting, realistic targets. Now, as I said before, everything should be realistic. Don't worry about the people making 50k in a trade, 100k in a trade, or having a fancy watch or a car. Don't worry about any of that stuff and just focus on a realistic goal. If you can do 5% every single month on a $100,000 funded or a $200,000 funded, you're going to be fine. But because you motherfuckers love trading every day, you're not going to be able to do that. Your results are going to fluctuate like crazy because you just don't know when to stop. Set it at 5%. Set it at 3%. I only got 3% on this $200,000 I did with Funded X. And that's $6,000 USD, which is about $9,500 Australian. And that's just on one account. Just a simple 5% gain. Nothing too crazy. Nothing over emotional, just cool, calm, and collected. Now, timeline. I know a lot of you guys want to help your family. You want to help your dad. You want to help your mom. You want to help your friends. You want to get out of that shitty situation that you're in. But it's not going to come. It's not going to come when you want it to. It's going to come when you're ready. And if you're not ready, it's not going to come. You just can't force it. You just can't force it because sometimes you're just going to get really unlucky sometimes. That's just the reality of it. There's been times where I've been close to getting funded and even making a payout, and I've just gotten super unlucky and things have just gone south. Sometimes that's going to happen. It's just part of the game. But then sometimes you're going to be fortunate and it's going to be on your side. It just depends how you look at it. With your funded goal setting, I think for a beginner, I think for people that have just gotten funded, it should be something achievable, something that you can do. 5% a month is achievable. If you're just following your system, you have that risk management tight, you know what your maximum drawdown is, you can just work towards that 5% profit target goal. Even with your personal account, 5% is good as well, because if you keep doing that, like I said before in the very beginning, have everything linked up to a copy trader, you have your personal, Okay, cool. I've been profitable for the last 4 months in a row on my personal account. Salty said, just aim for 5% a month. Do that. Trade less. Don't worry about how much you're actually making. Because once you're getting into a good habit of getting that 5% and you get funded, all you have to do is connect that personal account up to the funded. You don't even have to log into the funded account. You just connect it up and let it do the work. And then you'll eventually get to 5% on that personal account. And then, cool. I've done what I've been doing the last 4 months. You look at your funded account balance. Okay, cool. We're at 210,000. That's 10,000 USD. That's about what, $16,000 Australian. Cool. It didn't feel like I was working hard because I had it linked up to a trade copy, and I was just doing what I was doing the last couple of months, having a realistic target and just trading towards that. And if I do feel like I have an itch to trade it more, that's also fine, because I'm not going to risk my own capital or my funded capital. I'll just start a new challenge. Because I don't want to compromise the work that I've done with that personal account, copied over to that funded account. I don't want to compromise the work I've done there. Because you should be smart enough to acknowledge that the longer I stay in this market, shit can happen. Shit can go south. You can get unlucky. You could forget something. You could forget to disconnect your trade copy and be like, oh, okay, let me just keep going. Something as simple as that, and then you bring yourself back into drawdown. How's that, chat? 54 minutes. 54 minutes. Packed full of fucking information. Let me read some of your comments. Haven't missed much. I just came from church. God bless you, bro. Hope you had a good session at church. I'm sorry I sound a bit like, my voice sounds a bit, like it sounds like there's something stuck in my throat. Can't do anything about that. I'm a bit under the weather. What's your max drawdown per week? I do max drawdown per day, which is 2%. But I don't remember the last time I've even tapped that on a personal account. I usually set goals based on what I feel is the next logical step from where I currently am, which could be classed as realistic. Bro, if you guys just fucking cut out the massive targets and you focus on the weak structure, and you set realistic targets on your funded and personal, keep in mind realistic. I don't care who you are, most traders are realistically capable of getting 5% a month. I see how many of you guys drop 20 risk to reward, 15 risk to reward in a week, and then you might go into a losing streak on the next week. For whatever reason you wanted to keep going. If it's on a challenge, it's fair enough, because you do need to chuck up more trades. You have to. But on the funded and the personal, there's no reason to sacrifice a payout. There's no reason to sacrifice your gain, your percentage gain on the personal. Ruin your track record for what? I think this is my favourite psychology session. I haven't done one, well, last time I did one was quite a while ago. Thank you, LV. Chunk, feeling refreshed. Abib, thank you. Abib, thank you. Jez, thank you. Wayne Day. I just got to go through the outlooks real quick, chat, and then we'll wrap it up. Thank you, Rels. Thank you, Tori. Alright, so it seems like there's quite a lot that you guys like today. I just wish my voice didn't sound like this. I really apologize for my voice, chat. It doesn't sound like I want to talk. Can't you connect a personal account to a funded account with trading copy? Yeah, that's what. Yeah, no, you can do that. Connect the personal to the challenge, or connect the personal to the funded. Same thing. Thank you, Dylan. Yeah, unfortunately, that's how it is. It's always going to be like that, ups and downs. Like I said at the very start, even when you become quote unquote profitable in a funded account, you're still going to go into drawdown eventually. And it just happens. And I don't see traders talking about going into drawdown while in profit, because it happens. I think people just think when you get into a funded account and you become profitable, it's just you magically fucking just keep making money. But it's not like that. It's not like that at all. Thank you, BK. I use Traders Connect. Thank you, Sif. Great class. So inspired to make more of these payouts. But you just gotta keep just a couple percent. That's it. Trust me. That's all you gotta do. Couple percent. If it's a 1 to 1.6 or some shit, okay, cool, whatever. As long as you're still following the plan of targeting the weak structure. Because most of the time, if anyone can do this for me, like I said before, if you can go back and look at your 20 of your last break evens and see what would have been the result if you targeted the weak structure, I'd like to know if at least one person can do that. Would love to look at that. I understood much more that I need to stop trading that much and just set specific profit targets. Having a nice profit target is the best thing, because once you hit it, you feel accomplished. I beat the markets this month. That's how you feel. I beat the markets this month. The markets didn't keep me trapped for a whole month. I enjoy my life this month while hitting my profit target. That's the biggest W you can have. Of course, Brad. It's been a pleasure teaching you, my boy. I know you'll get funded within the next year at least if you lock in. Thank you, Declan. No more 5% a week goals. Yeah, 5, 10, 15, 20% a month. I don't even know any legitimate influencer or trader that's doing 20% a month with a track record. So just adjust those expectations a little bit. Would you recommend getting an accountant? Of course, bro. Oh God, I've been targeting way too unrealistic and getting pumped. Need to target that. Yeah. You just need to tighten it up, bro. Just need to tidy it up and take what's there. That's it. Weak structure. Can you really explain the difference between a change character and a fail break structure? Have a look at my YouTube video, Hoddy. The fail break structure video. Psychology masterclasses on top. Hey, most of these prompts were from you guys, so thank you for giving me some good stuff to work off of and speak about my experience with these, because most of what you guys are going through, I've most likely gone through it in some way, which I have quite a lot. Thank you, Arctic. Thank you, Lux. Thank you, AT. Thank you, Ziad. Thank you, TFS. This should help you on your challenge too. Because you're still probably going to be having issues where you're targeting crazy on your challenge because you want to hit that 8% profit target when that weak structure's right there. Statistically speaking, weak structure's the high, makes my win rate a lot better compared to anything else when I target that. Can you send the notes in the chat? I will. Sauciest class. Oh, it's a big comment there, Sif. Thank you, Alex. To answer your question, around 15 to 20 risk to reward looking back at my past break-even data. So out of the last 20, so for bread chat, out of the last 20 break-evens he's had, instead of walking away with 20 setups that have given you a return of 0, targeting the weak structure on all of those trades, he would have been up 15 to 20 risk to reward, which at the time could have helped him pass the challenge, could have helped him secure a funded, just out of some shitty break-evens. Turn some shit into something. I got a accountant when tax time came. I just raw dogged it for the start, which was a mistake. Alright, so real quick, before we wrap it up, chat, we're an hour in. Okay, so daily order flow still bullish over here. Keeping that in mind, could potentially head up. Looks like a 1 hour range to me. Yep, 1 hour range trapped between these lows and these highs. Pretty simple positioning for the alerts, which is not working. Doesn't want to work. Alright chat, my alert's not working, but alerts top of the range, bottom of the range, and follow 15-minute, 30-minute order flow. And for DXY, probably much of the same, 1 hour range. I know it's bullish based off the high time frame from the outlooks I did. If you guys remember, this is not a full structure break below. So technically it's not a structure break, so it's internal protected low being respected, which is why I believe we pushed up. I just wanted to sweep, but no structure break from this low. And we pushed up. Something to consider, order flow still bearish over here, so need to see if we can take that. So in terms of what we got going on over here, looks like a 15-minute range, 30-minute range, and a 1 hour range as well. So alerts will just be set at the top and the bottom of the range. But we're going to wrap it up for today, chat. Alright. So thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you boys learned a lot today. I'll send this in here, but I highly recommend that you take what you learned today and put it into your own words so you can understand it a little bit better. It's always better. You know, don't just copy and paste what I'm doing because it makes you feel like you're learning shit. Just take what you resonated with from this class and write it down. It doesn't have to be everything, but just take what resonated with you. That could help the holes in your game. One question, what about Sarah's words at the beginning of tier 1 that say there's no low time frame and immediate weak structure to target? Would you say bigger targets are acceptable here? I'll answer this later. I'll do a chart later and I'll answer this because we're running a little bit over time. So just ask me that question in the question and answers, Sif, and I'll give you a proper response. I'll post it in the masterclass notes for you guys later, alright? Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Jez. Thank you, ET. Thank you, Lux. Alright, boys. Hopefully you enjoyed today. A lot of speaking. My voice does not want to speak, so enjoy the rest of your day, night, morning, wherever you are in the world. And I'll catch